Guys! So today I want to talk about how I got a police car. I love my car. It was my first car ever. I got into an accident and my car got totaled. It was horrible. I was crying because it was my first car, but I did get a nice settlement out of it. I was kind of stuck and as I needed a car as soon as possible, but at the same time I didn't have a lot of money at the moment because I was trying to use all the money from a settlement check. I needed a car from my mom because she's just learning how to drive and she's about to get her driver license, and once she does, I'll pass my car on to her and get something new. I was looking for something that's safe, so I ended up buying a police car. Yes, it's 2011 Ford Crown Victoria. It used to be a police interceptor. So there's this place in Los Angeles. It's called Wild Rose, and that's what they do. All they do is they just sell police cars. They sell them to the police sometimes, or they sell them to people like me, or sometimes they just repair police cars. So that's their whole thing. Now, why is it safe? Up to 2011, all the police cars used to have a frame, and that made them much heavier, thus making it safer. For example, those are just the stories I heard from the owner of the place, but they are crazy. Like one time there was this guy who was a priest, and he came with his whole church because they were buying the car with the church money. And the reason why they were buying this car, not necessarily for safety, but more so for a trunk. Now this car has a huge trunk, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, so they were buying for these purposes. They got the car and they left, and about 2 years later the owner got a phone call and he's like, "Hey, do you remember me?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course I remember you." So apparently he got into a really bad accident as he was driving on the freeway with about 75 miles an hour, and he saw a car driving directly onto him, which was weird because it's a freeway, right? And they crashed. The police estimated that the crash was at 165 miles an hour. Now that sounds terrible. Now the other car, all 5 people in there died, and the reason why it was on the wrong side of the freeway was because they were drunk. So that was very unfortunate. That was very sad. My thoughts go to the families of people who did die in this horrible crash. The priest himself, he survived, and moreover, all he got was a bruise from his seatbelt. I mean, how much safer does it get? Police Interceptor is a perfect car for somebody who's a beginner. Another story that he told me was of this young 18-year-old guy whose dad bought him this car because it was his first car. He wanted him to be safe, and so on and so on. So he was in traffic when a semi-truck crashed into his trunk, which made him crash into the car in front of him. And he was completely fine, and his car was barely damaged, but the car in front of him, people died. So it was really terrible. Now, I'm not saying let's all drive police interceptors. No, there are a lot of cars that are safe nowadays, you know, with the airbags, and they go through crash tests, etc., etc. Though I do advise to do some research beforehand, because it's just the right thing to do, because you want to be safe, you want your loved ones to be safe. But at the same time, I feel like as the first car ever, or if you're just interested in police cars, it's a perfect car. Now, my car is fully black just because I wanted it that way, but they do have police cars that look like a police car. You know, it's black and white. It doesn't have any police equipment in it, but it's still pretty cool, I guess, to drive the black and white car because it's like you look like a police. And then I heard the stories that of people driving those cars, and like some people actually think that they are police, and they end up like letting them pass by them and just being all overall nicer to them. So I guess it's just a nice bonus. So okay, here's my baby. So Now I gotta warn you, this is a really basic car. Ta-da! So as you can see, it's so basic it doesn't even have a radio, which I plan on installing. Yeah, they removed all the police equipment from here, so it's pretty basic. However, the back of the car is super spacious. So this is my trunk. It's surprisingly big, especially when you take the wheel out. But yeah, it has 2 levels, which is pretty cool. And let's see what's under the hood.
Rolling.
So this is the hood. It has a pretty powerful engine. And then there's this piece of equipment that they think that belonged to the police. So yeah, this car does consume a lot of gas. I think it's 16 in the city and 24 on the freeway. So that's definitely minus. But it makes up for a very powerful engine. But yeah, that's my new car.